all your competition sending out email, and you decide to chime in with email, how are you going to stand out? The value is directly correlated to the price, right? And sending an email is super cheap. Don't expect much from it. We help brands stand out in the digital noise by sending out handwritten communication, not digital communication.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Ian Cantle from Dental Marketing Heroes and Outsource Marketing. Today, I'm here with the brilliant co-hosts Ken Tucker, Paul Barthel from Changescape Web, and Jeff Steck from Tylerica Marketing Systems. We're also thrilled to be joined by a special guest today, David Wachs, the CEO and founder of Handwrytten. So welcome, David.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, Ian, Ken, and Jeff.
And the Paul behind the scenes.
Oh, Paul. I'm sorry,
Paul.
I'm hiding.
It's great having you. In a world obsessed with AI and digital automation, many small businesses are losing the human connection that actually drives sales.
Yeah.
But what if you could automate the personal touch? That is exactly what David and his team have mastered. In this episode, we're diving into the Handwrytten strategy. We're going to discuss the marketing tactics business owners overestimate, where they're wasting money on automation, and the simple habits that pay off big in the long run. So whether you're looking to improve retention or just want to stand out in a crowded inbox, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. So David, what's one marketing tactic that small businesses often overestimate and one they completely underestimate?
Yeah, so I would say overestimate. It's not, I'd say it's rely on, and it's emails. People, if you're, Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And, you can look at this through a microscope or through a macroscope and kind of hear the same thing. So through a microscope, if you're sending your 47th follow-up to a client and not getting a result and think sending a 48th one, that's kind of insane. And then also, if you see all your competition sending out email, and you decide to chime in with email, how are you going to stand out? That's also insane. So I think it's really the overvalued channel of email. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't send emails. Of course you should send emails, but the value is directly correlated to the price, right? And sending an email is super cheap. Don't expect much from it. But in this day and age, you got to get in front of everybody. So yeah, obviously send an email. On the undervalued side, surprise, surprise, with a company called Handwrytten, I'm going to say the undervalued solution is handwritten notes. So what Handwrytten does, and I can kind of give you a background on why I believe this, but we help brands stand out in the digital noise by sending out handwritten communication, not digital communication. I came to this point in my journey, in my personal journey, in what I'm doing, and how I started this company was I used to run a text messaging company. So I used to send 1 million text messages a day, literally, for Abercrombie and Fitch, or Toys R Us, or Sam's Club, Office Mix, Blue Man Group, numbers of others. And what I realized is, while we were sending 1 million texts a day, people felt like they were receiving 1 million texts a day and 1 million emails and 1 million Slacks and Teams and tweets and all the rest. But what they're not getting anymore is the physical. We're all kind of sensory deprived. Our photo albums, our music libraries, everything is online. You can't touch anything anymore. So I thought, it would be really great to stand out by sending a handwritten note to all my old customers at my last company and my employees, thanking them for being with me during that company journey. So I did that, and voila, it was difficult, so voila, I started a company to do it, Handwrytten. And we really believe, and I've got a lot of proof that I can get into, the marketing proof, that sending handwritten notes as a touch point, not as frequently as you do email, but as a common touch point or a part of your marketing cadence, can drive outsized results over email, text, and the digital channels in general. Long answer to a short question.
No, and great answer. Some of the sales coaching I've gone through over my career, they've talked about the value of doing handwritten notes over and over and over.
Yeah.
But what they're talking about is physically taking out a piece of paper
Yeah.
or a card, handwriting it, despite how bad your handwriting might be, and and then sending it off, and that there are high statistics that breaks through the noise and the clutter. And it sounds like you've brought in a whole different approach to that to leverage that. Is that right?
Yeah. So what we've done, I mean, the end result for the recipient is no different. They in the mail will receive a quality, thick cardstock card,
Yeah.
With your branding on it. If you want a photo of your team, your logo, a product, whatever that might be, a QR code on the back, they will receive that thick card. And then either if it's a flat card on the other side, or if it's a traditional folded card, inside that, there will be a penned note written in the handwriting style of your choice, complete with variation of characters, variation of line spacing, variation of left margin, a little bit of wiggle so it doesn't look too straight. So the entire, and it could even have your signature or be written in your handwriting itself. So the end result to the customer or the prospect is a handwritten note. The difference is as you grow your business or your practice, whatever it is, you don't have the time to send those out. So we automate that for you. And the way we do that is we are the largest provider of automated handwriting solutions in the world. We have over 200 robots that we built in our facility, along with custom, so the robots are proprietary, but then the process, which is even more important than the robots, the process is proprietary so that we can write the card, write the envelope, stuff them together, include an insert like a business card, and get it out in record time. So that's where we stand. So to the end user, the impact is the same. And actually for you, the impact, the sender, the impact is much greater, because not only do you get your time back, it's still your thoughtfulness, ideally. I mean, yes, you can use our AI tools to craft the message. I wouldn't, say do it. I'd say it's better if you sit down and think about what to write. But the best part is the automation and the consistency. So, if you read a book, like I have a book here, Alex Goldfain's Pick Up the Phone and Sell. In his other books, he talks about the magic, if you want to go the extra mile and really guarantee that close, send a handwritten note, right? So yes, you can do that and you want to do that. And it's easy to do that the first 5 times. But then people just get busy, or their hand cramps, or they run out of stamps, or they run out of stationery, whatever it is, they stop doing it. And same thing if you have a sales team, if you say every client or every prospect gets a handwritten note, they'll do it the first few and then they'll get busy, right? So really the benefit of a solution like ours is not the automation, which it is. It's the automation, but it's really the consistency and ensuring follow through. That's really the benefit. And then of course, for those, we also tie into your CRMs and all that. But yeah, it's really, ensuring everybody gets the thank you note they deserve every time.
And just before we move on to Ken's question, just to clarify for people, like, we're not talking about variable data printing. We're talking about your robots actually have a pen touching the paper, doing the writing. So it actually is a hand or as close as possible to a handwritten note with the press of a pen to a piece of paper, which really sets you guys apart.
Correct. Yes, it is written with a Pilot G2 ballpoint pen. You can pick them up at Staples or Office Max or whatever. Unless you are truly scrutinizing the note, you'll never know it's written by a robot. If I send you one of these, you'll say, thank you very much. If I say, was this written by a robot, you'll then maybe, 50-50 come to the determination it was or wasn't. But nobody can, I'm our worst critic, and half the time I see these rattling off the robots and I have no idea. I see it happening and I can't tell it's written by a robot.
So cool.
I was like, can I jump in with a quick value question, David? Do you think people underestimate physical mail because they're so conditioned to digital? And and physical is just like, yeah, well, that's what they used to do in the old days.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the opportunity. When everybody's pivoting left and you pivot right, the average office worker gets 135 emails a day, and text messages and all the rest. And they only get and the average home, resident only gets about 2 handwritten notes a month. So do you want to be in that pile of 135 times 30, or do you want to be in that pile of 2?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's mutually exclusive, that you shouldn't be in one or the other. I'm just saying that the least used inbox is the one at the end of your driveway.
Yeah, it's a good way to differentiate for sure.
And by the way, I'm not here to sell handwritten, my company. I'm here to say, send handwritten notes. Step one, go to the store, get a pack of cards, start sending them, and see the value that has for your business. And as far as marketing goes, I really think that this is the best use of it, is what I call a full stop thank you, which is just saying thank you. It's not asking for a rating and review. It's not asking to click a QR code or use a coupon or anything. It's just genuinely saying thank you. Because as soon as you start adding calls to action to that thank you note, now it's an advertisement. Right. So to keep it as a thank you and keep it genuine, it's going to generate the most lasting response, and the greatest, long-term LTV. And it's just the right thing to do. People have everybody thinks they're a snowflake, and of course they're buying from me, but they don't have to buy from my company handwritten, and then instead of buying from any of you, they could use ChatGPT, they could go on Upwork, they could, there's a million solutions out there. So for them to choose we live in this we live in an entitlement culture right now, where everybody says, yeah, of course, you're welcome for working with me, as opposed to thank you. So I think doing that and just saying thank you full stop has some tremendous value.
So I think you've already kind of answered the question of, what do some of the fastest growing businesses that you work with do differently in the way they follow up. Let's talk about how important is speed to lead here, because, right now the statistics are staggering. I mean, with AI answering every phone call, or, having an AI driven chatbot that can book appointments, we're huge fans of omni-channel marketing here.
Yeah.
And so talk about how your technology or your approach integrates in with that and or complements the speed to lead, or speed to follow up, maybe more importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as speed, you're a little limited by the good old USPS, snail mail. So when you submit an order to us, we'll get it out within 1 to 2 days tops, and then it's in the mail, and then it sits there for 4 to 6 days. So, typically if your sales cycle is longer than 8 days, this can be a great lever to pull. So for instance, at Handwrytten, when somebody requests info on our services, we have somebody in the Philippines immediately reach out to them within 30 seconds. They're calling them, texting them, emailing them, trying to quote unquote confirm their address, because they submit their address for free samples, and we want to confirm that address, because yes, we want to confirm it, but we also want to set up a meeting with them. So we speed to lead there. But as soon as we get that address confirmed, we put a handwritten note in the mail, and then it's up to them. They might, now that's handwritten note as a sample kit too, but it makes a great second touch point. We have a lot of clients, if you're a sales organization, that after a meeting, they'll use their iPhone app to type out a note, or simply when they move the deal in their pipeline in their CRM system, it'll automatically send a handwritten note just from doing that. And then it's a great touch point that will differentiate them from all the other proposals that clients receiving that are just email follow-ups. So, depending on the sales, while speed to lead is great to get that first meeting and that opportunity, the handwritten note helps close the opportunity.
It sounds to me like there's some time business driven elements to businesses that are going to be most effective for that this is going to be most effective for.
Yeah, I mean, if you're turning around deals in 2 days.
Yeah, or an emergency plumber, for example.
Yeah, this is not the use case for an emergency plumber. However, after the plumbing event occurs, to send them a thank you note for allowing you the opportunity to serve them is a tremendous opportunity if it looks sincere and it's what I call a full stop thank you. If you allow me, I can give you one quick example.
Sure.
We have a piano tuner, kind of similar situation, small business, service organization located in Pennsylvania. They're in your home once a year to tune your piano. After tuning your piano, they automate a handwritten note out to you. They only need to come to your home once a year because your piano doesn't go out of tune more than that. When they return to your home a year later, they often find that handwritten note standing up on the piano. So not only was it opened, not only was it read, it is put on display on probably their most prized possession in their home, the piano. I mean, that's one of the most expensive things in the home. And that real estate is typically reserved for graduation announcements and photos, family photos. And there your branding reinforcement stays for a year. You know, you just can't buy that real estate. So I think as a post-purchase follow-up, it's a tremendous tool to build the long-term value of that client, as well as build referrals, ratings, all the rest, as long as you do it in a sincere way.
Yeah. I think it would also work well for, like restaurants to get people to come back into the restaurant and make that second purchase and things like that. So if you have a business where, getting customers to buy from you more frequently and more often, then this might also be a good approach as well.
Absolutely.
Hey, David. So practically any business you talk to says they don't have time for marketing. So what's the real problem here?
They don't have time for marketing. I think, marketing is
are they trying to do everything manually and not using any kind of CRM or automation or?
Yeah, I think, I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday who bought a automotive shop and everything was done on paper there. The ledger was still being written down on paper. So I think there is a true opportunity to go into these legacy organizations, whether it's emergency.
At least they're not using Post-it notes.
What's that?
At least they're not using Post-it notes.
Yeah, that's harder to mess up it's a little less hard to. It's harder to keep the ledger straight that way. But, there's opportunities, and I don't think people realize how powerful this stuff can be. I'm trying to clean up my pipeline, and now there's some really amazing tools that make it easy. I've got Claude running, and it's evaluating my HubSpot and all that, and it wasn't hard to do. So I think now that we're in this AI era, some of these automations are actually super easy for AI to set up for you. Not to take over for you, but just help you set up so that you can make sure that you're marketing in the right way. I mean, I just used it 3 days ago to help me better price my Google ads, So there's a lot of opportunity. Every business, I feel, has some sort of marketing, even if it's word of mouth. So trying to figure out how to get the most value for the time spent in dollars is truly important, as you all know.
And if I can throw a little curveball out here, because I think you've already touched on this a little bit when you talk about some people are using it as people move through their pipeline. Is there a place for this in the initial prospecting process?
Yeah, that's a great question. So postal mail in general is expensive. The cost of a first-class stamp these days is 78 cents. Typically, the prices go up every 6 months. Luckily, they didn't this time which is crazy given inflation and everything else. So just the stamp is 78 cents. Then you got to put that stamp on something and mail that. So, the starting cost of a card could be $2, $3, $4, depending on what you're at. So if you have a high value item, such as, let's say you're a solar panel installer and you just installed solar panels, and this is a true use case, you just installed solar panels in a neighborhood, you can go on our website, circle that neighborhood, and say, send to everybody in this neighborhood a handwritten note saying, I'm so sorry, in quotes, for disrupting the neighborhood as I installed solar panels and saved your neighbor a bunch of money, right? So that's a use case because it's a high margin sale. We've done the same thing for jewelry store openings or eyeglass store openings, where realtors entering a neighborhood, that could be high margin. But by and large, the use case that we believe direct mail, not junk mail like a postcard, but actual physical handwritten note mail, is really more on the post-purchase or at least post-contact side, where you have a sphere of influence you're trying to nurture. That's really where we think there's a better bang for the buck.
Yeah, in the duct tape marketing world, we talk about try and buy. So like if somebody, a try could even be setting up a free 15-minute consultation. So that's an initial contact that probably, this would still be a great strategy to do, even if they didn't make a purchase.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's just getting back to email for a second. Everybody's talking about their email open rates of 18% is excellent, or 20% or 22% or whatever that is. To translate for you, that means 80% aren't getting the message at all. 80% are ignoring you, have no idea you're there, right? So with a handwritten note, yes, it's expensive, but it has about a 99% open rate if you have the right address on the envelope, because people are compelled to open handwritten mail. They assume it's very personal. Even a better example is we work with law firms, and we attend a law firm conference. So prior to the conference, we send handwritten notes to all the attendees. So I guess that's a prospecting use case. Those lawyers show up at our booth with the handwritten note, or maybe not, sometimes they don't have it in hand, but they say, we are the only marketing that made it to their desk, because everything else was filtered by their admin as marketing, but the handwritten note looked personal, so that got put in the personal pile and made it to the desk of the person you're trying to go after. So, you just have to think about it that way too. There's a lot of people you're sending messaging to that never get it. They just never get it because it's filtered out either by spam or sheer volume of how many emails they're receiving. They just can't read them all. So handwritten notes break through that immediately.
There's still massive value in building and owning and maintaining an email list. So
100%.
Do you have any statistics on how sending a handwritten note to your subscribers helps them to stay as subscribers maybe longer? I'd be curious about that.
What I could tell you is two different angles, neither of which is going to be satisfying to you. But the first one is for car dealers, when they send a handwritten note, if they replace a printed piece, like a printed letter, with a handwritten note, that handwritten note has a 27 times greater response rate than the printed letter. It's also way more expensive, but when you adjust for cost, it's a 7 times greater ROI. So, not comparing it to an email list, which is very different, but comparing it to the next closest thing, print mail, 27 times greater response, 7 times greater ROI. With what you're talking about is really engagement. And what I can tell you is only 12% of consumers feel appreciated by brands. You could go to our website, handwrytten.com, handwrytten.com. Go to our website, click resources at the top, and download our consumer outreach survey. We surveyed 2,000 consumers unrelated to handwritten. We hired a market research firm. They reached out to 2,000 consumers. One of the questions we asked them is, do they feel appreciated by the brands they buy from? In 2025, the answer was Yes, only 12% of the time. Okay, that number is down from I want to say 2022, where it was 18%. So it's dropped by a third in 3 years. So then we said, okay, you don't feel appreciated by a brand. Let's say you did feel appreciated by a brand. What would you do? Well, we didn't ask him, would you read the emails? We probably should ask them that, but we asked them questions that circle that. So they would buy more, they would rate and review more, they would spend more per purchase, and they would refer more. So to me, that says that's a more engaged consumer if they feel appreciated. So then we said, what would make you feel appreciated? And we showed them an email, we showed them a handwritten note, we showed them a text message, and we showed them a print piece and a phone call, or showed them a picture of a phone. By and large, the number one answer to what would make you feel appreciated is a handwritten note. So it is a more expensive lever to pull than an email, but to your point, Ken, it could drive your email list later because now your email list is dealing with more engaged people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised by phone not being there because even though it's a personal touch, it's interruptive and there's always that fear that there's going to be that sales ask at the end of the conversation.
Yep. Yeah, a phone. So we asked, the very first question in the survey is, what's the most personal form of communication? And the answer is phone call. But then the second question, and handwritten notes are number 2. And then the second question was, what's the most annoying form of communication? And the answer is phone call. And handwritten notes were at the bottom of that list. So if you're trying to walk the line between highly personal and not annoying, handwritten notes are a great way to go there. And obviously emails and texts and all the rest. But the thing about a phone call is it's, A, you're right. It turns salesy pretty quick. And B, it's on the time frame of the caller, not the callee. Exactly. It's when it's convenient to them, not when it's convenient to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Hey, David, just to jump in, I'm intrigued by something you said there about using the handwritten notes to generate reviews. Can you just share a little bit about that? Because that's a really intriguing idea. Because we all profess, how important reviews are for SEO and for social proof and for so many reasons. But I'm intrigued by that idea with your service.
Yeah. So the beautiful part of a handwritten note is it comes on a piece of cardstock that you can print whatever you want on. So what I would say to do, if I just skip straight to the best practice, write the full stop thank you. Thank you so much for choosing Dr. Smith as your dentist. We very much appreciate your business. We too are a small business and look forward to serving you in the future. Then on the non-writing side of that handwritten note, whether if it's a landscape card that opens up down on the top flap, or if it's a folded portrait card on the left flap, put something in there about, we would love, printed. We would love your reviews. Feel free to click this QR or go to Google or whatever you want to do. Print that part so it doesn't look as focused or dead center of the note than the note itself. The note should mention nothing about that, in my view. And even better, if you wanted to put that on the back of the card, we very much appreciate your ratings and reviews. Please click here to do that, or snap here to do that. I would say that's a good way to do it versus mentioning it outright in the note. I just think that dilutes it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
David, if I could kind of take the conversation back to a little more of marketing habits. I think you've made the case great, and handwritten cards absolutely work. But for our audience, somebody who's listening to this maybe going, wow, now it's something else I got to do. How am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? How long is it going to take? Am I going to get a return on it? What are some of the points that you would make relative to essentially making time to change up, what you're doing and add a new habit?
Yeah, I would say just in general, habits are hard. I would say if you can, look at something called Zapier. If you guys, I don't know how many of you know what Zapier is, but it's a really simple if this, then that style automation where not just handwritten, but you could send out emails or postcards or, whatever, fruit boxes, whatever that is. Learning to use Zapier to leverage your time better and automate some of your work. I think that's a great first step. And then the other one is just sit down and try to write 5 handwritten notes on your own and see what happens. And then if you see value in it, then make that decision to automate it and create a habit out of it. But test it first. And I'm not saying use us. You can use us, but you could also just go to Walgreens and pick up a pack of thank you notes and do it that way. I'll give you an example. I have a friend in Chicago who was looking to buy a home, and the home market was very tight. So he wanted to send handwritten notes to people in a neighborhood that the homes were not for sale, but he was trying to basically see if he could convince somebody to buy. So this is not typical, and I'm not saying this will happen to you, but he used our service to send one handwritten note to one homeowner and got a response. I'm not saying that's typical, but he at least tried it, right? So, I'd say experiment. And then after, whether that's with text messaging, my old line of work, or a new email type or whatever that is, experiment and see if it's right for you, and then make that into a habit, because there's only so much time in a day for habits.
And then scale it up. And as you said, start thinking about using automations into your CRM so that triggers can do that.
Correct.
Help you handle that. So one of the things about digital is you can get a lot of good analytics, got a lot of good metrics feedback. So how do you track something like the effectiveness of cards? You've had some great anecdotes, but in terms of like, URL, special URL codes, tracking parameters, you don't get this. How do you answer somebody that says, how am I going to know if this is working?
So, I have a lot of answers to that. Number one, it's hard because you don't, you could use tracking phone numbers. Tracking phone numbers would be one way to do it. Just go to CallRail and get a phone number, or What Converts, or whatever platform you're using, and get phone numbers that are unique to your cards. You could certainly do that. URLs, I think people just go to the root URL anyway, in any printed piece. I don't think they're going to go to // So I don't think that'll work. I think if you really want to test it and know, you could do an A/B test and not send handwritten notes to one cohort, send handwritten notes to the other, and then check over time which one's performing better. That's probably your best bet. What we profess at Handwrytten is really the sentiment of gratitude, and doing that in a way that really breaks through. And I don't know, people are very selective and I apologize if I get argumentative here, but I think people are very selective on what they determine requires an ROI. And does a thank you note to a new customer, and that thank you note ends up costing you $3, does that require a whole spreadsheet analysis of ROI, or do you just chalk it up to it's the right thing to do? Albert Einstein also said, not everything that matters can be measured, and not everything that can be measured matters. And I think just doing the right thing and showing appreciation to your client or prospect or customer will have some great results in the end if you give it time. We have clients that sign up and they say, okay, I just want to do a 500 card test, 2 months test, see how this works after 2 months. This is a long-term relationship. If you're a car dealer and somebody buys a car from you and you send them a thank you note, they're not going to buy another car in 2 months, right? Like you're going to build that ongoing relationship so that in a year, 2 years, 3 years, they're going to buy that car, but they're not going to do it just because you send them a handwritten note. So I really think you need to take the long view. Ideally, just understand whether I'm doing it automated or normal. It's a best practice to send a handwritten note, because I've read Alex Goldfein, I've read all the other books that say to do it, and just do it there. But if you must get ROI numbers, I'd say do A/B testing would be the best bet.
Yeah, you also, kind of just to separate back out a little bit, you talk about a couple of different use cases, and yeah, the thank you just for the sake of the thank you. I think you called it the full stop thank you.
Correct.
That doesn't need to be measured, right? And
Right.
If it is, it's probably somebody like maybe 6 months later, like you said, the piano example. Hey, I got your card, and that really made an impact. But the other use cases that we kind of talked about, Ken brought some up, and you mentioned QR codes earlier. I think that would be a great way too. That's a bridge from the physical to the online. When you have to take your phone and scan the code to get the next step.
However, I will be the first to tell you that a lot of people don't scan QR codes, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it if the menus are gone in the restaurant and now they have no choice, or if it means they can get out of the restaurant faster by paying with their phone and not waiting for the overly taxed waitress to come around. But, I think if you slap a QR code on it and there's no real call to action on the QR, like get a tremendous discount or something, you're not going to see a lot of scans. That said, we could track it if they do scan it. We have full trackability, at least in our platform, to do that. But it's just, I think it was a often used solution in need of a problem. They're back. And it's been that case. I mean, I spoke at South by Southwest about that years and years ago before I was in this business. I think for the, another use case that might be good for people to try if you attend trade shows and you could get the list of attendees. I mean, we go to trade shows. It's our secret. It's our marketing secret is we just go to trade shows. We use it ourselves and we line up 60 meetings at our booth. We were just at NADA, the National Automotive Dealers. We had 72 meetings booked. We're going to e-tail next week in Palm Springs. We've got 24 meetings booked. These are people that are showing up at our booth because they received the handwritten card with the offer in it and all that. So that's a prospecting use case, and we're able to track ROI on that.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Not everybody's as smart as Albert Einstein. I love your Albert Einstein quotes. So my question is, we often come across businesses that have lost their way a little bit, and they may be spending money in a way that is not a good way. So where do you see small businesses wasting money when it comes to automation?
I think the number one way businesses are wasting money right now is on ad spend, specifically Google ads. It is Google ads are so complicated. Everybody thinks they need to do them, and there's very much a FOMO or FUD, I guess. Well, FOMO and FUD, fear of missing out and fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So because of the FOMO and the FUD, they're pumping money into Google ads, and Google is just lapping it up, and they're not getting any ROI on it. I would say that's probably the biggest place where ad spend is lost. If I had to give, I had to give one answer.
Yeah, no, we take over a lot of ad accounts, and I know we see lots of misuse of money and not, a lot of people set it and forget it. And that's the worst strategy you can take, especially with, Google's AI algorithms now taking over the campaign management in a lot of ways it wants to. But yeah, if you do it right, you can interpose your business in front of people that are actually searching at the right time. But if you don't,
100%,
you're just burning cash quicker than you can make it. So that's not a good, I agree. Bad strategy.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do Google SEM. I'm saying people throw as much cash into, they just think they have to throw a bunch of cash, but they're not being strategic about it.
Yeah. And Google, even in the recommendations that it's giving you every single month, the one recommendation that always pops up is spend more money.
Correct.
That's Google's answer for everything. Spend more money.
And Google ads in general have increased by 30% just from the last year.
Yeah.
And for certain, for higher end services like a criminal defense attorney, it's way beyond that. It's 2-3 times more than what it was this time last year. So
yeah. We're dealing with that ourselves. We're trying, like I said, just 3 days ago, I was trying to optimize my Google ad spend because ours had gotten out of control and we were paying $6 a click. And that's it's not like every time somebody clicks, they're a customer. They're just, so it's very expensive. And I know somewhere in there's probably a way to make it turn value, but right now, at least for our business, it's been very difficult.
I liked your answer earlier. I think one of the aspects of this question was also about just automation in general. I like your answer earlier about, pilot something first. You don't have to take your CRM of 10,000, contacts and send them all a thank you card.
No.
You'd probably love it if they did, I'm sure. But, take 5, 10, 20, do it for a month, see how it works, and then automate it. You've got to automate good processes, not bad ones.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, and yes, I would love your entire list, but I'd say hello and goodbye. I'd say goodbye right after I got your check, right? Like, I know you wouldn't stick around, and the whole thing is to build lasting relationships, us with you and you with your customers. Do it the right way and test and figure out, just like I'm doing with Google Ads now, the right way to do it so that you're not wasting spend.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever run across that, David, where somebody sends their whole list by accident to you guys? And do you have kind of a gate that says, whoa, this is bigger than I think they think it was when they sent it to us?
We often, not that so much. What happens is a lot of people come to us with some cockamamie ideas, like I need to send full handwritten letters, not just short cards. And the problem with that is they're expensive, and I mean, they're willing to pay it, but it's not a best practice. If I send you a full letter and a 8.5 by 11 sheet handwritten, are you going to believe that I sat down and wrote, my dearest Gwendolyn? Nobody's going to believe that you sat down and wrote that, right? So it's not a good use of spend, and people don't have that attention span to read it anyway. So we really try to guide people to a short card, 500 characters tops. I like to see them in the 350 range. The shorter you make it, the more digestible it is, and the more real it is. So we do kind of train people that way. We also do help people sometimes with, just like the way they put in emojis in a handwritten note, and that just doesn't work, and all that. Just the dumbest stuff people do. So we try to really help people out that way. And then we do really try to push people towards automation, as that's the best path forward.
So when it comes to loyalty and retention, if you could, I'd like for you to talk about a couple things. One is, what's the best practice? We've talked a little bit about that, but what are people overlooking when it comes to leveraging, handwritten cards, for loyalty and retention? And then second of all, how can a business turn a negative moment into a loyalty moment using your strategy? Well,
I love the second question. The first question is about cadence. So overall, I've kind of developed this framework for how frequently you should reach out to people. But with respect to handwritten notes, it's really a 3 to 4 touch point a year. We're not saying do this crazy every month or every week or anything. It's after first purchase. It's a birthday card if you have their birthday information. It's a holiday card just to get in front of them 2 other times a year. And then maybe one offer card or invitation rather. So if you're a dentist, thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to clean your teeth. A birthday card, which all dentists send, a holiday card. We are running a special on teeth whitening. We'd love to have you come in for a free exam or whatever that offer is. So 4 times a year. And then obviously the thank you for your becoming a client becomes a anniversary becoming a client. So you can kind of hit them up 4 times a year. But we don't push more than that. It's just unrealistic and it doesn't work. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. On the second one, this one is really not related to handwritten notes. I mean, we play a lot in it, but it's the notion of what's called the service recovery paradox. So what has been found time and time again in marketing is that if somebody has and I'll give you examples. If somebody has a bad experience and you as the vendor brand acknowledges it, acknowledges it by apologizing for it, fixes it, or rather over fixes it, and then never does it again, you will end up building a more loyal customer than one that has never been screwed up with in the first place. So let me give you multiple examples here. I'll give you three. Number one, handwritten related. So we have a client, they're a snack box. They provide office snacks to your, you sign up, and then every month you get a box of snacks for your office. You throw them out, they're gone in a minute as everybody snacks, grabs them and off they go. If they screwed up by either not delivering your snack box, delivering the wrong snack box, it coming damaged, it coming late, whatever, they started sending a handwritten note along with an additional box of snacks and some swag. And obviously the swag helps and the additional snacks help, but so did the handwritten note because it acknowledged that they screwed up. They found that those customers that had that win back of the bad experience have a much higher LTV, talk about ROI, an actual higher LTV than their cohort group of non-screwed up clients. So then their solution, quite frankly, is screw up with everybody. Everybody gets a win back. LTV goes up across the board. The second, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The second one is my old business. So I used to be in the text messaging space, and we worked, we had a client which was a nationwide spa chain. And back then, the whole short code thing was big. So text spa to 12345. It was a 5-digit number. The spa chain got its own 5-digit number, and my marketing analyst or my account manager that was working for the chain, she gave them the wrong 5-digit number. They printed up signs, and it cost them a lot of money to print all these signs. We sent everybody in my company, I think not everybody, we sent like 8 people on the road with new signs for them and flowers, and dropped them off at every spa apologizing for the mistake we made. Acknowledging it, saying, we're so sorry for the printing error. Here, we have a new printed sign for you. We flew in from across the United States just to hand you these flowers and this thing. And then they became a client for life. Obviously, that was not intentional. That was a huge screw up. The last one was me personally. So I bought a barbecue from Barbecue Guys. I'll happily mention their name here. I bought a whole barbecue island thing, and there was a side burner separate from the main. And when the barbecue came, it was dropped off by a freight company because it's a big item. One of the boxes was all dinged up, holding that side burner. So I opened it, and the side burner was all dinged up. So I took a photo of it. I called Barbecue Guys. I said, look, one of the boxes got damaged. It took them several days to get me the grill the first time. The next day, I had a replacement burner. And they said, just throw away the initial one. You don't need to send it back. Don't bother. Just take this new burner. And I said, oh, thank you very much. That was a good experience. Actually, I'd say that was a expected experience, right? Like they fixed it. What I didn't expect was 3 days later, I got a call from their head of customer service, just checking in, saying, hey, just want to make sure that new burner was good. That is an exceptional, unexpected experience. And now I'm a customer for life. And it didn't take much. It took a phone call. But what did it take to make that phone call? It took them to do something non-transactional, right? Like these customer service reps are just trying to play whack-a-mole all day, kill all their tickets. They closed the ticket on sending the replacement product, but they didn't. They left it open and followed up 2 days later, and that's what makes a difference. So, the service recovery paradox, you need to be able to recognize those moments when you screw up and really go above and beyond to fix it. The easiest place to do that is your customer service department. When somebody calls into your customer service department, they're holding their hand saying, or they're raising their hand saying they have a problem. And that's number one. And then they have a second problem because they had to wait on hold to raise their hand to say they have a problem. There's an inconvenience associated with having to deal with customer service. So it's not good enough just to solve their problem on the phone, even if it is, oh, you did something wrong on the website, click B instead of A. You should follow up with them, whether it's a phone call or a handwritten note or whatever, after the fact or something, to tell them you appreciate them investing that time to fix the problem and not just move on to one of the other companies in the space that didn't have any friction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, that in terms of Google reviews, you should always respond to your negative reviews. You don't want to run the risk of adding fuel to the fire, but you definitely want to reach out and express your concern. And if that's the triggering event and that's how you found out about their poor experience, publicly say, oops, we're sorry you didn't have a great experience, reach out to them. And many times the person who had that bad experience will go back and rewrite or modify a review, which provides just massive social proof. So that's another element of what you're talking about, I think.
Absolutely.
So, David, going back to what you said earlier about, or what Einstein said, that not everything that can be measured matters.
Yeah.
If a business owner only tracked one marketing metric beyond revenue, what should it be?
Customer retention. Everybody spends so much time, and to your point, if they're only tracking one thing, revenue, they're probably also getting very excited every time they get a new client. And they have all these beautiful dashboards, new client acquisition, Google ad spend versus acquisition, CAC versus LTV, all these numbers, right? But what they're not focusing on is customer retention. So as they're focusing up at the top, their clients are falling through the bottom. And the number one thing, one of the most expensive things in business is the cost to attract a new client. So if you could just save that client and understand that you could probably get 40 to 80% revenue growth just by nurturing those existing client relationships, depending on your business, there's a huge opportunity there. Whether it's through Alex Goldfain's outgrow model of just calling up clients randomly and saying, hey, how you doing? Whether it's handwritten notes, whether it's doing customer appreciation events, whether it's sales, whatever that is, just really focusing on customer churn and trying to drive that number as low as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because it's much less expensive to retain a customer than to.
Yeah, but it's not as sexy. What's sexy is looking at, oh boy, I got 3 new clients today. It's not sexy to say, oh boy, I've had 0 churn today. I love zeros. Nobody loves zeros.
Yeah, but it's a kick in the gut when you lose a customer too. Not only not only just the revenue loss, but it hurts. I think it hurts all of us when we experience that situation.
Yeah. We do these automations for car dealerships, and we just lost one that's been a client of ours for 3 years yesterday. And it's because they want to use a company that does printed cards, not handwritten cards, but includes brownies. So we're trying to use it as a learning opportunity to figure out a way to offer brownies with our handwritten cards, right? So yeah, it hurts, but there's opportunities to take from it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So David, as we head toward the close here, let's open it out, very, very broad scope. What's the best advice you've ever gotten for business? Has it been short-term, long-term? How's it influenced you and made a difference in your approach to business?
The best advice I ever got in business was actually when I was in college. I was on a speaker planning committee. So we bring speakers to campus. And we brought Conan O'Brien back when he was just getting his late night show. We were the first time he had ever spoken to a college campus. And he was very thoughtful. And because I was on the speaker planning committee, I got to go out to dinner with him. And he said, if there's one bit of advice I'd like everybody to walk away with, it's always get in over your head. And that advice has stuck with me for way too long because nothing gets done in your comfort zone. You don't grow as a person, whether it's professionally or personally, if you're just doing the same old, same old. So you got to really get in over your head and try to achieve something that's outside of your comfort zone. And yeah.
Yeah, I think most of business owners, entrepreneurs probably feel they're in over their head on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Any advice you have for how to work through that, how to deal with that?
Doesn't really work through it, but what I'd say is start, because so many people want to start a business. They want to leave their comfort zone and do it. But then what they do, instead of starting the business, they build a spreadsheet, and then they write a business plan, and then they refine the spreadsheet, and they refine the business plan. And they never do it, right? And it's this analysis paralysis. So, you need to, the best day to start a business is by and large today, because tomorrow you're a day older, you have more responsibilities, you have kids, you've got a wife, you've got whatever. Life only gets harder and harder. Pretty soon you have ailing parents you need to deal with, life only gets harder. So the best, and running a business is very hard. So the best time to do it is today before life even gets harder.
I'm a recovering perfectionist, David. So I read an author once, I read all his books, but John Acuff, and one of the best quotes I have from him is "Done is better than perfect." So
yes, exactly. It's just making that. I have a cousin who is a therapist, and he wanted to leave that and start becoming a consultant for businesses to help them get the most potential out of their employees. And he texted, and he had me review his resume and all that. And then he texted me saying he got his first client. And I went on and on about how excited for him he was. He's like, it's just one client. I said, yeah, but you went from 0 to 1. And 0 to 1 is the hardest thing you could possibly do. So, because most people don't take that step. They just sit there and, try to get perfection first and analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah. Any last questions, guys, that you have for David?
No, I don't think so. We're coming up on an hour.
Yeah, it's been a great session. Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. This has been a true pleasure. Paul, Ken, Ian, and Jeff, I really appreciate it.
It's been awesome, David. And so if people want to get more information about Handwrytten. I don't know why I keep throwing.
Yeah, that's okay. You're not the only one.
It's the Canadian pronunciation.
Yeah, that's what it is. So they can go to handwrytten.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Handwrytten with a Y, so HANDWRYTTN.com.
It's probably that Y that keeps throwing me off.
Yeah.
And if people want to connect with you personally, can they do that through LinkedIn, or what would you suggest?
Yeah, just search LinkedIn for David Handwrytten. You'll find me. Or if you want lots of little quotes from Einstein and other stuff like that, go to Instagram, just look for David Wachs, DBWACHS, and that's me on Instagram.
Fantastic. Again, David, this has been such a great conversation. We thank you for joining us today. For our listeners, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Smash it, because Ken likes it when I say that, and he visibly smashes the button. So do that. Follow David. Reach out to him. Try out handwrytten.com. And until next week, folks, keep calm and mark it on.